Hi, I'm going to try a little video here for a color study with some receding mountains. And I've started on just mixing the two colors I'm using for this are Pyrrole Orange by Daniel Smith and Dioxazine Purple by M. Graham, which I find to be the nicest dioxazine purple. This paper is, again, being a little bit doing odd things. So I'm still trying to figure out if I need to figure out a different paper. But I am going to do this large shape right now. And just one way of getting a graded wash, and one way of it's sort of, this is a slow build-up way that will at least help you sort of make sure that it's an even wash. It gets tricky to control just how dark a smooth blend. I'll stop talking and start showing. But basically, all I'm going to do first is use clear water. This is relatively clear water. There might be a touch of orange pigment in there, but that's okay. But what I want to do is wet this whole shape relatively quickly. And yeah, it's kind of hard to see where the water is. And since it's hard to see where the water is, what if I put just a tiny bit of orange in there? That was a mix. There's an ever so small amount of violet. So I'm going to say, hold on. I think that's better. So what if I just came up here and started putting in sort of just enough orange to see where I've actually put water in. Yeah, put water. This is my number 12 Casaneo. But it's the same. I stopped at that sentence midway because I feel like I'm seeing sort of streaking going on in this paper, which I'm gonna continue forth and we'll see what happens. Which is which is a good behavior to role model for watercolor. Because so often it has a mind of its own. So there I have just wet down the whole thing, and then what I'm going to come in and do, I just want this top part to be sort of orangey. And still felt like there's a little, and so I'm going to mix up just a tiny bit, and I'm going to squeeze some into the top like that. And then I'm going to have fun kind of shifting it around like this. If it doesn't move around, like in places where it stops, it means that it's sort of getting low on water in one area. Here's a good example. It's sort of not wanting to. But instead of sort of panicking and bringing in a bunch of new water and then the idea is to try to manage any given shape so that the water is distributed as evenly as possible. So now this is just sort of like a big swatch practice, and I'm gonna get, I think this, yeah, my brush is thirsty enough here. Um, I'm going to be a little, yep, that was fixing little things like this. The, the important thing is to try to match how much water you're going to introduce and then sort of move things around too. It can be handy to have a smaller brush nearby, because a smaller brush is just, it's easier to sort of go in here with a smaller brush. But even that brought in sort of too much water and started shifting the color back that way. So then panic, and then go back to seeing if you can shift the color around and even it out. Let's see, I think I will just, all kinds of brushes going. I'm going to say that that's kind of, I like how that has blended from just water to really light orange. I'm going to want to get darker orange eventually, but I try to err on the side of, does it seem like the transition was a smooth one, is smooth, and err on the side of, if the transition is kind of nice, then I'm not going to worry so much about if it's the exact darkness of orange that I want, and I'll do that in a subsequent layer. I was thinking about doing a mix here. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. I'll take a little risk. You risky guy, Farron. I'm gonna get my number 8. And the reason I'm saying it's a little risk, it's really not that big of a risk, but if I wanted this to dry like this, then I would not want to shift my paper around, because it's still wet enough to kind of, the pooling color, even if I soaked that up, there'd probably be a little bit of pooling color. But I'm gonna be okay with that. So I have some purple over here that I will, woo, that was fun. Bring in, and so these two colors make a lovely grayish purple. I'm sorry, yeah, grayish brown, purplish, orangey. And I'm kind of looking at the mix, and did this one first and then this one, and then try to eyeball it in between. It seems like that is sort of this color straight in between. So for this orange one, I'm going to grab a little bit more orange. I might try to grab a little bit more water as well, just to make sure it's, that seems more like I'm thinking.